Dave Rice. Hi, Dave.
Hello.
Good to see you. It's always good to see you.
Great to be here.
Dave is the father of one of JTV's talented producers and
Proud father.
Sports announcers. David Rice. Yes, and he's multi-talented. He's actually directing today's show.
He is amazing, and he works hard.
He does.
Yeah, we're having dinner Sunday evening, and he's editing and working and cutting and splicing and doing things that are way over my head.
That's right. We don't stop throwing it at him.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, your agency with locations in Jackson and Battle Creek, proud sponsor of JTV Sports, JTV programming, including this show, and coincidentally, the David Rice Show.
The David Rice Show, and proud to be a sponsor.
You've actually been on that show, haven't you?
Yes. Absolutely. In fact, I was lucky enough to be on the 100th episode.
That's right. I listened to that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, he's got a great team on that as well. Adam Braganzer.
Oh yeah.
As we speak, I think the interview is happening today, right? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
David's interviewing Carson Cooper.
He mentioned that last night. He got it all locked in and spoke to him via text, and that's exciting.
Yeah, from Jackson. He's the Michigan State Spartan center, and tonight they've got a big game in New York at Madison Square Garden. So,
all right.
So he'll be talking to him after that game on tomorrow's The David Rice Show.
Well, they'll have a lot to talk about.
I'm sure. Hopefully,
yeah, that's cool.
It'll be a happy
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and with insurance, we were talking before the show. Costs. Everyone's talking right now about the Thanksgiving is going to be more expensive, and so everything's going up.
Yeah.
What about not insurance, but the things you insure? Their value is rising right before our eyes. Are our insurance policies keeping up?
Yeah. One of the biggest misconceptions is that people sometimes tend to believe the value of their insurance policy, the value of their home that it's insured for, is the market value of their home. So I often get this question like, well, I don't want to insure that house for $150,000. It's only worth 50, right? So that's misnomer number one, is that no, the value of the home is the replacement cost, or the cost it will to repair it, right, or to get it back to like quality. And what we've seen throughout all the years, especially with all of the inflation, right, and the cost of goods, is that if an individual hasn't reviewed their policy and with their agent and basically done a new replacement cost estimator, at times they can be well underinsured, right? So if you bought a home in 1985 and maybe you're with the same carrier and the same agent, but you haven't increased that value, things cost a lot more today. So the policy generally, a lot of policies have an inflation guard in it or a small increase upkeep, but sometimes it doesn't keep up.
So in that situation, your house burns down, you could get a check for $35,000.
It'd be a lot less than what you need.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've seen that occur, right? So that's number one, right? Is to make sure that you're talking to your agent, whether it's annually or every couple of years, saying, hey, let's do a new replacement cost estimation to make sure that we're insuring to value, to replacement cost. The second big item similar to that is when, and I see this a lot with garages and barns and barn dominiums and man caves and when people start adding on to their barns and their other structures, we're the last person they call, right? And I'm not saying they want to or need necessarily to pay more insurance. We don't want them to, but we're the last ones they call. So I've seen instances, unfortunately, where people added on to their barn 2 or 3 times, or built out the inside of their barn with kitchenettes and just like I was mentioning, and heaven forbid something happens, and here's your check for $30,000. I'm making that up, $30,000 for your $150,000 barn. That's not a fun conversation to have.
Now, when people buy a policy and they think they're getting replacement value, they've got replacement value. Just having that phrase might be giving someone a false sense of security.
It can, because depending on the policy language, right? There could be there's another adjective in there called guaranteed replacement cost. So it's really, you just have to speak to your agent and make sure that you fully understand it. And my old saying is that it doesn't matter until it matters.
Well, I think, you mentioned the key is being in touch with your insurance person every year or every time you do something.
You really should, to at least, communicate with them. They're your trusted advisor, right? And talk to them and say, hey, this is what I did, where are we at?
We're about to start the winter, and with that comes some weather challenges. One is flooding, and we've seen some horrible floods in this country, even in Michigan, Midland,
Yes.
a couple of years ago. So what is this flood insurance and, floodplains and, the restrictions on being covered if you're too close to a river? Mm-hmm. I don't think many people understand it, including me.
Yeah, it can be very confusing, and a lot of times people don't understand it or don't learn about it until their mortgage company or their mortgage broker says, hey, you're required to have a flood policy because you're in a flood zone. The reality and what we're seeing with the crazy weather, right, that we've had is that just because you're not in a flood zone doesn't mean that you can't have a flood, right? So a lot of times people don't understand that coverage. There's also some confusion because a lot of policies have what's called water backup of sewer and drains, and people misunderstand or misinterpret, oh, I'm good, I'm covered for flood. Water backup, that would be flood, and that's actually not the case. Water backup is water coming in to your home, right, back up through drains, sump pumps, so on and so forth. Flood is water coming into the home from the outside in. And that should be something they should be considering because flood is excluded. And I always say to you, that 99.9% of the time, I know there's special policies, but flood generally is not included on a standard homeowner's policy.
And it's funny because we're literally 200 feet from the Grand River where we sit. And, in any other part of the country, the Appalachians, like, last year, if you were that close to the river, you would be, you'd be mindful of, the potential, and you'd be covered and all that. We don't even think about it.
Yeah, and again, most people don't think about it until someone tells them they need it. And I have bought property in the past where we weren't in a flood zone, and I bought flood insurance. So you don't have to be in a flood zone to purchase that and have that peace of mind.
And the confusion, I think, is there are people that are maybe too prone to floods that can't get insurance.
Well, then there is the National Flood Program, and there's some other ways that we can get coverage for them.
So if you got one of those homes in the Outer Banks that's kind of teetering into the ocean, those people can't get insurance.
It's difficult, right? And then there's also, not to dive too deep, but then you've got soil erosion coverage, right? So when you think of, the soil eroding on the cliffs of Lake Michigan, I've actually provided a policy for a home in case it fell in.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, again, it's all about communication and questions with your agent.
One other area we wanted to talk about today was insuring jewelry. We were watching, I can't remember what, who's the actor that plays Don Draper on Mad Men. He's on a Netflix show, and he's a successful Wall Street guy, loses his job, and he starts breaking into homes and stealing jewelry, and suddenly he's making like millions. Well,
Is that our next job?
I don't know, but and he thinks, oh my gosh, it's a victimless crime. It's insurance. They're not gonna. But that's assuming those people had insurance.
Yeah, I mean, I always use the caveat but most policies include a small rider, right? A small amount of coverage for jewelry, generally maybe $2,500 or something like that. And again, just to correct a misnomer or a misunderstanding, the reason you want to add the jewelry to your home policy and have it scheduled for its appropriate value, number one is so you have protection. Mm-hmm. So Don or whatever,
well, it's
whoever
not Don
breaks
Draper.
in.
Can someone help me? Who is the actor that plays Don Draper on Mad Men?
I don't watch Mad Men, I'm not sure.
I don't know who it is. Well, whomever it is.
Yeah.
So you're certainly covered if there, was an item stolen from your home. But what most people don't realize is that coverage actually follows you around, right? So if you were at a hotel in Chicago and you went out to dinner and had your watch stolen or your earrings stolen, your homeowner's coverage will pay for that.
Okay.
And it's very inexpensive. Like I am always talking to people. I'm like, wedding rings, rings that have been passed down, through grandmothers and great grandmothers. You know what I mean? It's very inexpensive to insure it.
Yes. It was John Hamm,
Oh.
the actor.
Somebody told you, John Hamm.
Yes.
Yes, it is John Hamm.
Yes, John Hamm.
Yeah.
So he was breaking into homes.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think he's
We're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that,
No.
and we're not recommending you do that. I mentioned you have locations in Jackson and Battle Creek, but I understand there's now a third location.
Tecumseh.
Oh, nice.
So we bought a small location in Tecumseh about 4 or 5 months ago. And so excited about that, and getting the team integrated and all that fun stuff. So
It's a cool little town.
it is a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really concerned when we bought that we were going to close the office and kind of consolidate, as I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but as many businesses do. And I said, no, actually, it's the opposite. I actually want to expand in the community. It's a great community.
Well, great to have you here, and thanks for what you do in our community and for JTV.
So thank you. It's a pleasure.
Always great to have from the Insurance Circle Agency, Dave Rice.